Hey everyone, welcome to the Krista Rose Love channel. I've received some requests to do videos on mental health issues, so I want to start off with a topic that has affected me greatly and I'm sure a lot of people out there, the idea of perfection. I attended and graduated from Harvard University, and I also attended and graduated from Fordham University School of Law, which is a great law school. And I've had the opportunity to travel around the world and get to see a lot of great countries and learn a couple of languages. I've learned French and Spanish, and I've also had the really cool opportunity to work and intern in some great places abroad as well. My pursuit for personal perfection and new opportunities and seeking out new opportunities that would enhance my own idea of self-perfection started all the way back in middle school when I found out about the advanced track available in high school. So I took all the right classes that I knew I had to take in order to get into the advanced classes starting in middle school, so that by the time I reached high school I would be in pretty much all, for the most part, all advanced classes and eventually advanced placement classes towards the end of my high school career. And this idea of taking the right classes and excelling continued all the way through my, my college years and also through grad school as well. I pretty much had an intense determination to excel at everything academically. With every single test that I've ever taken, every single class that I've ever taken, I was very, very determined for perfection and nothing less. And I have to say that you know, perfection comes with a fault. Psychologically, it's not the most healthiest way to live your life. I mean, the world imposes standards all the time, and you know, pretty much tells you that if you get XYZ grade, XYZ will result. If you go to XYZ school, XYZ will result. If you go work at XYZ place, XYZ will result. It's some sort of perfection formula that the world has provided to pretty much direct you in some idea, in some path of perfection that supposedly exists out there. It's a formula that I know very well and I've known since a very, very young age, and I have to tell you that I've struggled with this idea of self-imposed perfection, this idea that I always have to achieve XYZ and that nothing else can compare and nothing else can satiate that desire for perfection. Whenever I forced myself to accept any particular goal or any, you know, any particular ideal without room for error, I was fine when the result turned out in the way that I wanted it to turn out. But when the results didn't turn out in the way that I wanted it to turn out, of course, you know, I would be upset. But it went, you know, even worse than that. I would then dissect what I did wrong to a pretty deep level. I would question why. I would really analyze what happened and try to figure out where I went wrong or what happened in the situation that went wrong. And that kind of questioning is not uncommon for a lot of people, and I can speak for myself when I say that to a degree that kind of questioning and that kind of you know, slight obsession with where you went wrong or how the situation turned out wrong can be harmful psychologically. An obsession with perfection can cause a lot of hurt, can cause you know, a lot of immeasurable self-imposed pain. And if, you know, I can speak for myself when I say that if I did not perform perfectly on something, you know, I would start to question even my identity. And that's when it gets to, you know, a pretty intense level, which, you know, it impacted how I saw myself in the world around me when something went wrong, and I had done everything to make sure that it went in the way that I wanted it to be. You know, and I'll give you some examples. You know, if a grade didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, especially when I was, you know, I'm so used to, you know, doing well, and then if a grade doesn't come out the way I want it to, I would really question like what went wrong and analyze it. And this can relate to pretty much anything in life when someone puts their mind to something and it doesn't work out, especially when it comes down to something that they pretty much attach their identity to. It can be pretty severe when the person then starts to wonder, oh my gosh, what went wrong? And there's a sense of an identity collapse when that happens. Because of the high expectations I placed on myself, I imposed those expectations on other people, assuming that they were going to be judging me based on those standards of perfection. And as a result, you know, I oftentimes found myself alone, because in situations where I thought somebody was secretly trying to compete with me or harm my goal, I wasn't quite sure. So I thought, well, it's probably best that I, you know, distance myself from XYZ person, and you know, rather than risk having judgment or assuming that, you know, I'm not meeting whatever standard of perfection, etc. I was kind of looking at myself through the lens of someone else with the standard that I, in my mind, thought that they were judging me by. The reason why I felt the need to make this video and to tell you all this stuff is because I know there are a lot of you out there who feel a lot of pressure to be perfect all of the time, academically, academically with your career, whatever it may be, with your looks. I mean, it could be anything, and you may feel that pressure, and I want to tell you that there is another way to live your life. You know, I've lived pretty much actually all of my life, searching for this perfection, this thing, and every time I achieved something, there was always something else that I sought, something to be perfect at. And I have to honestly tell you, there is a better way to live your life. There's a better way to perceive yourself, and there's a better way to perceive the world around you, outside of this idea of I must meet XYZ goal, I must meet XYZ standard of perfection. I have been my own worst enemy, and I have competed against myself to reach higher and higher and reach higher and higher goals. And I know now that in moments where I stumble or make a mistake or whatever it may be, that it's okay, and that that life presents opportunities to make a comeback and try again and succeed at a particular goal without necessarily obsessing over that goal or living your life simply in pursuit of that goal. So for those of you who are obsessed with perfection and never making a mistake, you really shouldn't be afraid of a mistake or if something weird or something goes wrong. I really do think that you should remember the term, the saying, never give up, because life presents the opportunity to make a comeback, to have another chance to succeed at something, and you don't necessarily have to focus on that thing, and stop living. You can actually live your life and still have plenty of goals in front of you that you want to succeed at. And if by chance you mess up, or if by chance you don't succeed at something the first time, you can always try again and pursue it and get it the next time. There really is not a big deal. It becomes a big deal when through our mind's eye, we focus on it, and we focus per se even on the mistake, or we focus on the fact that something isn't going fast enough to a degree where we find fault in ourselves, attaching our identity to the mistake and then feeling terrible about it. So just because you made a mistake, or just because you make a mistake in something, whether it be academically, with your career, with the love of your life, or whatever it may be, you can still recuperate. There's still opportunities to try again and find something better, or try again and rectify a situation, try again and succeed at something. This life is all about paths of happiness, as well as situations involving pain or hurt. No one's going to have a complete path of pure happiness. That simply doesn't happen in this life. I don't care who you are. So just remember that even if you notice someone who just always seems to be happy, okay, that's great, and wish them all the happiness in the world. But don't automatically assume that just because they appear that way, that they don't necessarily have issues that they have to deal with, that they don't experience pain. Because oftentimes people may be experiencing pain but won't show it. They will keep it on the inside and won't show it, so it's hard to connect to other people who are experiencing that, and therefore you may assume, well, other people don't experience pain, only I do, or only so-and-so does, or whatever. That's not the case. People tend to bottle that stuff up inside, and so just remember, everyone's human, everyone experiences all these emotions, both good and bad. I am personally determined to keep on pushing on towards the goals that I have in my life right now, and even pushing on towards the goals that may not even exist right now in my life yet, but will come along in my life at some point. In light of the fact that I know that I am not perfect, that I am an imperfect being, and that anyone who does impose this idea of perfection on me needs a reality check, because nobody is perfect, everybody makes mistakes, and we have to accept that in ourselves and in other people as well. So in pursuit of perfection, I realized that there is no such thing as perfection, and that my happiness and my identity are not attached to any one thing, whether it be any particular goal, academics, career, a relationship, my looks. It doesn't really matter. My identity and my happiness are not attached to any particular item. The best that I can do in this life is to live my life, to love my life, love others, to help others, be a blessing to others, have set goals and attempt to achieve them, and in the process, if there's a setback, pick myself back up and try again. Thanks for watching.